Good afternoon. This is Brooke Kaiser, Marketing Coordinator for Interface Systems. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. This will be a 10-minute lunch bite webinar with the chance for you to ask questions at the end of our presentation. We ask that you please use the chat feature for any Q&A, and we will take care of these questions at the end of the presentation. I turn over our presentation to our Director of Consulting Services, Lou Smith.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our webinar today, leveraging Microsoft Teams to organize business operations. My name is Lou Smith. I am a member of the Interface Systems team. I spend a lot of my time working with our clients and various other organizations, helping them to figure out ways that they can effectively use Microsoft Teams to increase efficiency and delivery in their business operations. For our conversation today, I'd like to address one of the biggest questions that we receive on a day-to-day basis, and that is, how do I use the Teams within Microsoft Teams? And we're not talking about from a functionality perspective, although that plays a critical role, obviously. It's more from a how do I set it up perspective. What constitutes a team within Teams? The best use cases that I have seen are, well, there are two. And it's not to say that they're the only two. There are many very good use cases for creating a team within Microsoft Teams. However, the top two that we have seen in use by clients on a daily basis that make the most significant impact are setting up a team as a functional group within your organization and setting your team up as a major project. Now, when I'm talking about the organizational group, I'm talking about your finance team, your business development team, your human resources team, whatever internal organizational groups you have that need to work together. These are great applications of a team within Microsoft Teams. It gives them the capability to share information back and forth via message threads as well as files. But the major project is by far the biggest use of Teams within Microsoft Teams. When I say major project, I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about a project where you're replacing 5 copiers in your office. This is a small project that you can handle just by using chat and having general meetings and emails. Fantastic way to get that accomplished. It doesn't take a long period of time to do so. When I say major project, I'm talking about something that has multiple work streams tied to it. A great example would be if you're building a new facility for your business. I have a new building that I'm putting up which has the work streams of architecture, construction, information technology, permits, and working with the township to get approvals, and various other areas. These are key success factors and focal points within your major project that require a lot of collaboration, a lot of data sharing, a lot of information sharing back and forth between the various team members who are participating in that team. Now, as we go a little bit deeper with this, we're talking about teams within Microsoft Teams. There's some other nomenclature I want to make sure that we're all straight on as well. Whether you're a new user or you're someone that's been using Teams for a while, I want to make sure we know the difference between teams and channels. So within Microsoft Teams, and here's a quick screenshot of a screen that you'll see here in a moment, I've highlighted or put a box around the actual teams that are listed here. The business development team, which is an example of that organizational group, and the X1050 launch team, which is a great example of the major project team option that you have. Now, underneath each of these teams, I have what are called channels that are in the green boxes. And these are other threads, other channels underneath my team that I can use to logically organize my communication and my data sharing. It's a great way to keep your teams organized and help segregate certain information versus others. There's also some permissions you can tie to that, and we'll get there in a second. But let's jump right into our actual Teams interface. When I'm looking at the Teams interface specifically, I see what I just saw in my screenshot, my business development team, my X1050 launch team with each of the channels underneath. Now, both of these are public teams. And what I mean by that is anyone in my organization has access to, can search for and find and go into those teams. Now, when you're creating a team, you have to keep this in mind. This is a key thing to be aware of, because a new team or any team within Microsoft Teams can either be public, like I was mentioning, or it can be private. And the key with the private team is only those individuals whom I invite as the team creator and owner have access to that team and any of the data within it. One of the other bigger questions that we also receive is, okay, well, I have this public team, but what happens when I need to have a very private conversation with multiple members of that public team? Do I need to create another team that's private? Well, no, you don't. You now have the capability to, within your team, create a private channel. So when I go in to add a channel, it's similar to that in creating a team. Let me just create a test name here for my channel. You'll see the privacy section at the bottom. I have the default capability to create a standard channel that anyone on my team has access to, but I also have the opportunity to create a private channel. So only those individuals whom I invite can see the content that's contained within. You do so just by add Diego here, inviting those folks that you want to participate. I won't create a long list for the sake of time, but I've added Diego in, and you'll notice right away one thing that has changed here, and that is I can see a lock next to it, which gives me that physical visual representation of the fact that that is a private channel versus a public channel. So as a member of that team, I can see every channel that I belong to, whether public or private. And I can use all of those channels the exact same way. It doesn't matter public, private, they all function the exact same fashion. So one other really good example of a way to stay organized within teams is the use within channels. And I'll pick on the pipeline channel in our business development team here for a moment. Within channels, I have the capability to not only share posts, which are sticky, which is great, by the way, for new team members who join. When you add them to your team, they have historical access to all of this information versus you sending 15 or 20 emails to them to try and get them up to speed on some things that have happened. But they can also share files within the channel as well. And you'll see within this channel, I have a quarterly sales projections Excel spreadsheet that was added and updated not too long ago. But this is a critical spreadsheet that I need my team to see easily. And I want to make sure that they don't have to click too many times to get to it. And I want to expose that information to them in a little bit of a different fashion. Well, in your channel, you have this little plus sign up at the top that you can click on and expose additional information to them. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can choose from, but I'm going to use Excel as an easy example of this today. So I'm going to create a tab in here that's focused on Microsoft Excel. This is our quarterly projections. So I'm going to select that and post to the channel that I've created that tab. Save this. And you'll notice right away that I now have a tab at the top of my channel that says quarterly projections as I created. And you see the exact Excel file exposed directly within Teams that now my team can interact with. The best part about this is this will be updated real time as team members make changes. So if I'm looking at this focus group data tab and I want to update something, let's say, oh, this was tracked as male, this was actually a female, and I update the data. Any other person who's interacting with that file will see those changes being made real time. Very good from a tracking perspective. So if you have a project going on or your projection sheet is being updated real time from another feed perhaps, you can see that data update as you're interacting with this tab throughout the course of the day. It is a great way to organize specific data for a team within Microsoft Teams. But again, keep in mind the privacy that's associated to each of these teams as you're thinking about that organization. Remember that a public team and all of those public channels, anyone in the organization has access to the data that is there, versus a private team or a private channel whereby only those individuals who are invited have access to see exactly what is available to them within that area. Thank you again for taking the time to join us for today's webinar. I truly do hope that you found some good value in the content that we shared. Check out our schedule for upcoming webinars as well. There's many other areas that we're covering in these short tidbits to give you a quick 10 to 15 minutes out of your day where you can gather some information to help improve your business efficiency and your business operations.
And as always, we are available after the webinar. If you think of any questions that come up, you can always email Lou Smith at lsmith@interfacesystems.com. Feel free to call us at 610-276-5500. We do have a couple questions in the queue, so I'll let Lou handle those.
Great. So thank you very much to everyone again for joining. And one question that did pop up, can someone I invite to a private team then invite someone else to the team without my approval? This is actually a very good question. And I'm not 100% certain on this one. I do believe that it is required by the channel owner from an invite perspective. I don't believe that that is a shared duty. I will actually take that as a follow-up for our attendee who has joined here and just confirm that for them as well. Great question. Another question that came up in a private chat over to me here, can you convert a private channel to a public channel afterward? This is actually a very good question. You cannot. So you do want to be careful with the creation of private channels within your public teams because it will remain a private channel forever as of right now, unless Microsoft does provide that capability in the future to change that. So you do want to be careful in those steps. One other question that popped up here. Okay, can you give another example of a good use case for a team? Good one. So we talked about the organizational group. We talked about the major project as a part of setting up a team. There's another really good one that we do see frequently, and typically this happens with a lot of professional services organizations and really anyone that has, client-facing activity that they're operating with on a daily basis, and that is to create a team that is named or categorized around a specific client or potentially a specific partner. You may have a partner that you interact with, and you may have specific projects that you work with them on throughout the course of a given year. You may have an account management function or a partner management function that you want to organize underneath that team as well. This has been a very good application that we have seen. Actually, this is one that we use internally as well in order to maintain and manage communication and collaborate back and forth within our teams. So that's another really good use case that we have seen in various different types of organizations. I don't see any other questions that have popped up in the Q&A or in any private chat. If anyone does have any additional questions, like Brooke mentioned, please don't hesitate to reach out via email or phone. Like she said also, please double check our webinar schedule for upcoming webinars. I hope you found tremendous value in today's webinar and the content that we've shared. And again, appreciate you taking the time out of your lunchtime to join us. I hope everyone has a great day.